Hey you guys, and welcome to Art. I'm excited to have you here. This week is all about patterns and textures. So we're going to get started today with a landscape scene. We're going to need paper, our cool markers that we got in the mail, pencil, and our Sharpie. So go ahead and get those out if you don't already have them. And of course, as always, as I'm going through the lesson, I want to make sure I'm keeping these videos short for you guys. But if you ever need to pause them, rewind them, definitely feel free to do so. All right, well, I've got all my supplies here and ready to go. Our step number one is to make a foreground. I'm going to be doing kind of a desert scene because I could use some more warmth in my life right now. So my foreground, I'm going to have rocks be at the beginning of it. So just having some rocks right at the front of my picture like this. Maybe there's another tiny rock right there and a big rock over here. Why not? So we've got the rocks going. Now you guys can be starting your drawing with pencil first. I found that pencil doesn't really show up very well on the camera, so I'm just doing it with Sharpie right away. But if you guys want to use pencil first and then once you know you like it, going over the top of it with Sharpie, that works well too. Okay, the next step is, it seems a little crazy because it's going to look like you've got something just floating out in the middle of the sky, but it'll make sense eventually, I promise you. So my next step is to draw either like, well, in my case I'm going to do a cactus because this is Arizona. Desert in my head. I want warmth, right? You could do a tree. You could do maybe like a lilac bush. Any kind of plant vegetation kind of thing is going to work well for this. So I am going to draw my cactus right in the middle of my paper, and it looks a little crazy right now because it looks like it's just floating there, but I promise you after the next step it's going to make more sense. Okay, so I've got my cactus, it's floating, but we're going to add in some rolling hills. My suggestion, because we want to have a lot of different segments and sections to this, so my suggestion is going to be to draw 3 or more rolling hills. My first one's going to kind of come up and meet my cactus and come back down. My next one, make that line a little nicer there. I'm going to have my next one coming from this side maybe, and then don't want to show it through the cactus, but there we go. And then maybe this rolling hill starts from here. There we go. We've got some rolling hills. Next, we want to focus on our background. So what do we want in our background? Do you want some mountains? Maybe you draw some mountains in the background, right? Mountain ridge. Ooh, that could be kind of cool. Maybe you want to have a tree line back there. That could be fun also. Maybe you just want some, maybe you want just some clouds and the sun. So maybe I'm going to do a little cloud, tiny little cloud, and it's going to go in front of a happy, shining sun. Okay? So we can do something like that. I also, since this is Arizona, we're going to pretend it's really hot. So I'm going to make concentric circles. If you've ever been shopping at Target, you know what a concentric circle is. It's the logo for Target. It kind of looks like a bullseye. So it's like where one circle is inside of another circle, inside of another circle. But I found when you do that around a sun, it visually adds heat to it because it looks like heat waves radiating out. I'm going to do maybe one more concentric circle here. Let's see, I would kind of extend there. Like that. And I think I'm going to do one more over here. But this kind of works well because it adds different spaces for us to be able to add those patterns and texture into our picture. So what we're going to do is we're taking one section at a time. So maybe you start with the cloud or the sun or part of your cactus. Whatever you're choosing to do, we're going with one section at a time, and we're going to pick, do we want it to look like scales? Do we want it to be chevrons, those kind of zigzags? Do we want to have circles and spots? Do we want it to be checkered looking? But every section is going to get different colors and different patterns. So let me show you what I've got going on so far. Here we go. So you can see in this section here, it's kind of like my Swiss cheese section. We've got circles here and then some lines. This one I did more of like the zigzag chevron kind of pattern. Here I've got the scales going. And I would continue all this all the way around as well. I just haven't gotten that far yet. Down here we've got some stripes and dots. Down here I've got some hollowed circles, and maybe I even choose to, with those hollowed out circles, maybe inside of the big ones, I even choose to use a different color and add some dots inside of it. Have fun and get creative with this. Another thing to always remember too is that these cool markers have two sides. So one side is nice and big for coloring things in, and the other side is super teeny tiny for making really precise lines. So use that to your advantage too, because that helps to add a variety of textures and patterns to our images as well. So you guys have fun, dream up all kinds of different textures and patterns that you can add to each one. Feel free to, if you run out of ideas, feel free to look up patterns online or look at the examples in our slides, or have somebody in your family tell you a shape and run with it, right? There's so many different ways to get inspiration. But our goal is going to be to have our entire paper covered with all sorts of different colors and textures and patterns. When you're done, don't forget that it's always fun to be able to share what we've created with others. And once again, you can get inspiration from others too by checking out our Art Hall of Fame, which is right in our slides. Now, since it's just the beginning of the week, we don't have anything in here yet. You could be the first one. But once you pop on in here, just go ahead and claim your frame by putting in your name, and then of course insert image, and you can take a picture right with your Chromebook to add on in there. I cannot wait to see what you guys create, and we're gonna have so much fun this week. Bye guys.